The big ship USS Valiant moved slowly through space. Captain William Garcia sat in his chair on the bridge. He looked at the strange black alien ship on the screen. It was much bigger than their own ship. Humans had been looking for alien life for many years. Now they had found it, but this meeting was not friendly. "They are getting ready to attack us, sir," said Lieutenant Samantha Powell. Her voice was calm, even though everyone on the bridge was worried. "Red alert. Put up shields," Garcia ordered. "Try to talk to them one more time." The alien ship answered by shooting at the Valiant. The whole ship shook from the hit. Garcia held onto his chair. "Fire back, Pattern Delta," he said. The Valiant was not strong enough to win this fight. As systems began to fail all over the ship, Garcia made a hard choice. "Get ready to leave the ship. Everyone to the escape pods." In the medical bay, Dr. Eleanor Martinez, who everyone called Doc, worked fast to help the hurt crew members as the ship shook around her. Unlike most of the crew, Eleanor was not military. She had joined the mission because she knew a lot about alien biology and emergency medicine. "Doctor, we need to leave now," shouted Nurse Allen Wright over the loud alarms. "Help me get these patients to the escape pods," she said, already moving to get the most badly hurt people ready to move. As they rushed through the hallways with floating stretchers, another explosion hit the ship, knocking them down. Eleanor protected her patient as they fell. When she looked up, she saw that part of the ceiling had fallen down, blocking their way. "This way," she said, changing direction toward the backup escape pod area. "We can still make it." When they got there, they found the area in chaos. There were more hurt people than they had pods for. Without waiting, Eleanor began organizing everyone. She told crew members to help the hurt, decided who would go in which pod, and made sure each pod had at least one person who could fly it. "What about you, Doc?" Wright asked as they put the last patient in a pod. Eleanor looked at the small one-person maintenance pod that was left. It was barely bigger than a coffin with small engines. "I'll take that one. Go now." As the escape pods flew away from the dying ship, Eleanor watched through her small window as the Valiant, humanity's pride in space exploration, broke apart in a series of explosions. The alien ship was already moving to catch the fleeing pods. Eleanor's small pod wasn't made for long trips, but she had changed it using the medical supplies she brought with her. 3 days after the Valiant was destroyed, her pod guided her toward the nearest planet they could live on. It was a blue-green world that the ship's scientists had called Proxima b. The landing was rough. The pod's thin shields barely worked for entering the atmosphere. When the door finally opened, Eleanor stumbled out onto alien ground, holding her medical bag tightly. The air was thin but breathable, and the gravity was a little stronger than Earth's. She turned on her emergency signal and began looking around. If other pods had landed nearby, people would need medical help. The alien landscape looked a bit like Earth, with hills covered in purple plants and a sky that was copper-colored. By nightfall, Eleanor had found 3 other pods and the people. Inside them, Chief Engineer Gregory Patel, Communications Specialist Diana Rodriguez, and Marine Sergeant Kyle Bennett. None were badly hurt, but all were upset by the attack and the loss of their ship and friends. "Captain Garcia?" Eleanor asked as they sat around a small heater taken from one of the pods. Bennett shook his head. His pod was one of the first they attacked. "What about the others?" she asked. "I saw several pods make it to the ground," Diana said, working on her damaged communication device. "But I can't find where they are. There's too much interference from the minerals in these mountains." "We should go to higher ground tomorrow," Patel suggested. "Better chance of finding survivors and staying hidden if those aliens come looking for us." Eleanor nodded. "I have enough medical supplies for a small group, but we'll need to find food and water soon." "The aliens," Bennett said quietly. "They were very organized. They hit our weapons first, then communications, then the bridge. They knew exactly where to attack us." "They've been watching us," Eleanor said. "This wasn't a random meeting." The next morning, they began walking toward the mountains, watching the sky carefully. By noon, they had found 2 more survivors: Navigation Officer Lisa Reyes and Science Officer Victor Chen. We picked up signals from at least 4 other pods, Reyes said. They're spread out over a 50-mile area. Any word from Earth? Bennett asked. Chen shook his head. Earth won't know what happened for at least 3 weeks. Our emergency signal is sending, but we're on our own, Eleanor finished for him. She looked at the faces around her, tired, scared, but determined. Then we need to find the others and make a safe place to stay. And we need to figure out why those aliens attacked us. Over the next week, their group grew as they found more survivors. Some brought useful supplies, others brought skills or information. Eleanor treated injuries, carefully used medications, and kept everyone's spirits up with her calm manner and steady focus. When they finally made a camp in a defendable cave system, they had 23 survivors, less than a tenth of the Valiant's crew, with no high-ranking officers among them. They looked to Sergeant Bennett for leadership, but the young Marine didn't want to take command. I'm just a soldier, he told Eleanor as they counted their medical supplies. I follow orders, I don't give them. Then we'll figure it out together, she replied. Right now, our people need hope more than they need a chain of command. Eleanor looked out from the cave entrance at the alien landscape. The copper sky was darkening as night fell. Somewhere up there, the alien ship was probably still looking for survivors. She didn't know why they had attacked, or what would happen next. But she knew that as long as there were people who needed her help, she would find a way to keep going. These humans were far from home, with no leaders and little hope of rescue. But they had something the aliens didn't understand. The ability to adapt, to work together without strict orders and to find strength in each other when everything else was lost. 2 weeks passed. The human survivors made their cave home better each day. They found water in a small stream nearby and learned which local plants were safe to eat. Eleanor, the doctor everyone called Doc, worked hard to keep everyone healthy. 1. Morning, Eleanor went with Kyle Bennett and Diana Rodriguez to look for more food. The alien world's purple plants were strange, but some had fruits that tasted sweet. I wonder why those aliens attacked us, Diana said, as she picked round blue fruits from a low bush. We didn't do anything to them. Bennett shrugged. Some people just want to fight, Eleanor frowned. I don't think it's that simple. They were too careful, too planned. They knew our ship's weak spots. As they talked, Eleanor noticed something moving in the trees ahead. She raised her hand, and the others went quiet. Through the branches, they saw a creature with 4 arms and a shiny hard skin like a beetle. It was an alien, but not wearing any armor or carrying weapons. Scientist, not soldier, Bennett whispered. Probably collecting samples. Eleanor nodded. We should follow it. Maybe we can learn something. They moved quietly through the purple forest, keeping the alien in sight. Soon, they saw a small building in a clearing. It wasn't big enough to be a military base, but several aliens were working around it. A research station, Diana said softly. They're studying this planet. The 3 humans watched from the trees as the aliens worked. They moved in very precise ways, always checking with each other before doing anything. When a bigger alien came out of the building, all the others stopped working and waited. Look at that, Eleanor whispered. They don't do anything without permission from that big one. Bennett nodded. Very strict chain of command. No one makes their own choices. They watched for another hour before heading back to the cave. On the way, they found another pod half buried in the dirt. Inside was Communications Officer Frank Morris, alive but hurt. Eleanor treated his broken leg while he told them what had happened. My pod landed far from here. I've been moving toward your signal for days. I wasn't the only one. There are more survivors out there. Did you see anything else? Bennett asked. Morris nodded weakly. The aliens have a big ship landed on the other side of the mountains. They're bringing down equipment. I think they're planning to stay. Back at the cave, Eleanor called everyone together to share what they had learned. The group now had 25 people, including Flight Officer Maria Jackson and Engineer Peter Cole, who had arrived while they were gone. We need to find the other survivors before the aliens do, Eleanor said. And we need to learn more about these aliens. Victor, Can you and Diana work on improving our communication range? The science officer nodded. We can use parts from the empty pods to build a stronger antenna. Greg, Eleanor continued, turning to Chief Engineer Patel. Can you and your team make better weapons? We only have a few standard-issue blasters. Already working on it, Patel replied. We can use power cells from the pods. For the next few days, the humans worked hard. They sent out search teams that found 3 more survivors. Victor and Diana built a better communication system. Patel's team made weapons and tools from pod parts. Eleanor moved between groups, helping where needed, solving problems, and keeping spirits up. She wasn't giving orders like a captain would, but she was connecting everyone, making sure they all worked together. One evening, Victor Chen came running into the cave excited. I did it! I cracked their language. Everyone gathered around as he explained. I've been recording their communications when they use their equipment. Their language is based on colors and movements, but their computer systems use sound codes we can understand. What have you learned? Eleanor asked. They call themselves the Drachnids, Victor said. They're part of something called the Imperium, and they're planning to invade Earth. The news hit everyone hard. Earth was months away at the fastest speeds. They had no way to warn home. Why would they want to invade us? Maria asked. What did we do to them? Victor looked at his notes. It's not what we did. It's what we are. They think humans are messy, too disorganized. They don't understand how we function without strict rules for everything. That's why they attacked the Valiant, Eleanor realized. They took out the bridge crew first, thinking we couldn't function without our leaders. Bennett laughed without humor. Well, they were wrong about that. The next morning, Diana made an important discovery. I found a signal from another group of survivors. They're on the other side of the mountains near the alien ship Morris saw. How many? Eleanor asked. At least 15, including... Wait, this can't be right. Diana checked her equipment again. They say Captain Garcia is with them. Everyone looked surprised. They had thought the captain died when his pod was hit. We need to reach them, Eleanor said. But we can't all go. It would be too dangerous to cross near the alien ship. I'll go, Bennett offered. I can move fast and stay hidden. Not alone, Eleanor said firmly. I'm going too. They might have injured people who need medical help. I'll come as well, Diana added. I can help with communications. They gathered supplies for the journey, planning to cross the mountains the next day. That night, as everyone slept, Eleanor sat at the cave entrance, looking at the stars. Somewhere, up there was Earth, unaware of the danger coming. Victor joined her, sitting quietly for a while before speaking. You know, it's strange. The Drachnids attacked us because they thought without our leaders we would fall apart. But look at us. Eleanor smiled slightly. Humans are adaptable. We don't need someone telling us what to do all the time. You've been our center, though, Victor said. Not giving orders, but keeping us focused, giving us purpose. That's not leadership, Eleanor replied. That's just being human. We help each other. We solve problems together. As the alien world's 3 moons rose in the copper sky, Eleanor thought about tomorrow's dangerous journey. She didn't know what they would find on the other side of the mountains, but she knew they would face it together, each person doing what they could, not because they were ordered to, but because they chose to, and maybe that was something the Drachnids would never understand. Eleanor, Bennett, and Diana left early the next morning. They carried water, food, and medical supplies in small backpacks. The mountain path was steep and rocky. The purple plants grew thinner as they climbed higher. How far to the other side? Diana asked, checking her small tracking device. About 20 miles, Bennett replied. If we keep moving, we can make it by tomorrow. Eleanor looked back at their cave home, now just a small dark spot in the distance. I hope the others will be okay while we're gone. They climbed all day. When night came, they made a small camp in a sheltered spot between large rocks. The 3 moons lit up the alien landscape, making the purple plants look silver. Tell me more about these Drachnids, Eleanor said to Diana as they ate their simple meal. What else did Victor learn from their signals? Diana took out her small computer. They come from a planet with a strong gravity field. That's why they have that hard shell-like skin. Their society is based on strict order. Each drachnid knows exactly what to do because they're told by those above them. No freedom to choose? Eleanor asked. Diana shook her head. No. They think choice leads to chaos. In their world, everyone has a specific place. That explains why they don't understand us, Bennett said. Humans make choices all the time, even when we have leaders. In the morning, they continued their journey. As they reached the top of the mountain, they could see the other side. In the valley below was a large silver ship, much bigger than their research station. Around it, dozens of drachnids moved in perfect lines, building structures. That's their main base, Bennett whispered. Much bigger than I expected. Look there. Eleanor pointed to a small green area far from the alien ship. That could be where our people are hiding. They moved carefully down the mountain, staying behind rocks and trees to avoid being seen. It took all day to reach the green area, which turned out to be a small forest with Earth-like trees. The aliens must have planted them. The signal is coming from underground, Diana said, checking her device. There must be caves here too. They searched until they found a hidden entrance covered by fallen trees. Bennett went in first, his blaster ready. The tunnel was dark and went deep into the ground. After walking for 5 minutes, they saw light. Ahead! Stop there! Called a voice from the light. Identify yourselves. Sergeant Kyle Bennett, USS Valiant, Bennett replied, with Dr. Eleanor Martinez and communications specialist Diana Rodriguez. There was a pause, then a figure stepped into the tunnel. It was Navigation Officer Perry, looking thin but alive. Thank goodness, he said. We've been hoping someone would find us. Perry led them into a large underground cave where 14 people were living. They had beds made from escape pod materials, a clean water system, and growing lights for plants. But Eleanor immediately noticed many of them looked sick. Where's Captain Garcia? Bennett asked, looking around. Perry's face fell. He didn't make it. He was alive when his pod landed, but his injuries were too severe. We couldn't save him. Eleanor felt the weight of the news. I'm sorry. We had heard he might be alive. That was my fault, said a man stepping forward. It was Communications Officer Lewis. I've been sending messages using the captain's code. I thought it would boost morale if anyone picked it up. How many of you are injured? Eleanor asked, already opening her medical bag. 5 with serious injuries. The rest of us have minor problems, Perry replied. But we've been dealing with some kind of alien sickness too. We think it's in the water. Eleanor spent the next few hours examining the sick crew members. The alien illness caused fever and weakness, but she found that a combination of antibiotics worked against it. She taught their medic how to continue the treatment. Meanwhile, Diana and Bennett learned what this group knew about the drachnids. They had been watching the alien base grow for weeks. They're getting ready for something big, Perry explained, showing them a rough map he had drawn. More ships arrive every few days. They're building what looks like a portal or gateway, a way to bring their invasion fleet directly to our solar system, Bennett realized. If they finish it, Earth won't stand a chance, Diana finished. That night, the leaders from both groups talked about what to do. Perry wanted to stay hidden and wait for rescue. Bennett thought they should try to steal a ship. Diana suggested trying to send a stronger warning to Earth. Eleanor listened to everyone, then spoke. We need to do more than hide or run. We need to stop them from finishing that gateway. How? Perry asked. There are hundreds of them and only 40 of us total. We don't need to fight them directly, Eleanor said. What if we could use their own way of thinking against them? She explained her idea. The drachnids only do what they're told by their leaders. They don't make their own choices. What if we could confuse their orders? You mean like jamming their communications? Diana asked. Better than that, Eleanor said. Victor's been studying their language. What if we could send false orders? The group talked late into the night, working out a plan. They would return to the mountain cave together, combining their knowledge and resources. Victor would create fake messages in the drachnid language. Diana would find a way to send them. The engineers would build devices to disrupt the gateway. Construction. As they prepared to leave the next morning, Bennett took Eleanor aside. You know, in the old days, this would have needed a captain's orders. But look at us, working together, figuring things out. Eleanor smiled. That's what the Drachnids don't understand about humans. We don't need someone to tell us what to do all the time. We see problems and we solve them, together. They left the underground cave and started the long journey back over the mountains. Ahead lay a dangerous mission against an enemy that didn't understand them. But for the first time since the Valiant was destroyed, they had hope. As they walked, Eleanor thought about how strange it was. The Drachnids had attacked them because they thought humans couldn't function without their leaders giving orders. But here they were, not just surviving but planning to fight back. And they were doing it without captains or admirals, without a chain of command, just people working together because they chose to. Maybe that was humanity's real strength. And maybe that would be the Drachnids' biggest surprise. The trip back to the mountain cave took 3 days. The group moved slowly because some people were still weak from the alien sickness. Eleanor checked on them often, making sure they had enough medicine and rest. When they finally reached the cave, the others were happy to see them. Victor Chen ran to Diana, eager to tell her about his work on the Drachnid language. Greg Patel showed Bennett the new weapons he had made. Everyone shared what they knew and what they had learned. That night, they all gathered to plan how to stop the Drachnids. The aliens now had over 500 workers building the gateway. They were working fast and might finish in just 2 weeks. We need to know more about how they give orders, Eleanor said. Victor, what have you learned about their communication? Victor showed them his notes. The Drachnids use color patterns on their skin and special sounds to talk to each other, but they also use electronic signals for longer messages. These signals follow strict patterns like codes. Can we copy these signals? Bennett asked. I think so, Victor said. But we need to get closer to their base to record the right signals. And we need to know which Drachnids give the orders, Diana added. They must have leaders we can pretend to be. They formed 3 teams. Victor and Diana would lead a team to record the Drachnid signals. Bennett would take a team to map the alien base and find their leaders. Eleanor would work with the engineers to build devices that could send fake signals. For the next week, they worked hard. Bennett's team watched the alien base, hiding in the hills and taking pictures with long-range cameras. They saw that the Drachnids with gold markings gave orders to those with silver markings, who then told the workers what to do. They never question orders from above, Bennett reported. Even when the orders don't make sense, they follow them exactly. Victor and Diana's team managed to record many signal patterns. They found that the aliens sent the same messages at the same times every day, checking that work was on schedule. It's like a computer program, Diana said. They don't change anything unless something goes wrong. Meanwhile, Eleanor worked with Patel and the engineers to build small devices that could send signals like the Drachnids. They also made jammers that could block real signals from getting through. We'll only have one chance, Eleanor told everyone as they prepared. Once the Drachnids realize what's happening, they'll change their codes. The plan was simple, but dangerous. They would place jammers around the alien base to block real orders from the leaders. Then they would send fake orders telling workers to make mistakes in building the gateway. If it worked, the gateway would fail when the Drachnids tried to use. On the day of the mission, everyone felt nervous but ready. They had practiced what to do many times. Bennett led a team of 10 people to place the jammers. Diana and Victor went with 5 others to a hill where they could send the fake signals. Eleanor waited with a backup team, ready to help if anything went wrong. Bennett's team moved quietly through the trees near the alien base. Each person carried a small jammer that looked like a rock. They had to place them in a circle around the base without being seen. Remember, Bennett whispered to his team, place your jammer, turn it on, and get out quickly. Don't try to fight if you're spotted. The first part of the plan worked well. 9 jammers were placed without any problems. But when the last person was placing their jammer, a Drachnid patrol spotted them. Everyone back to the meeting point. Bennett ordered through his radio. We've been seen. The alarms at the alien base began to sound. Drachnid warriors rushed out looking for intruders. Bennett's team ran back to the hills trying to stay hidden. The jammers are all in place, Bennett told Eleanor when he reached the meeting point. But they know something's happening. We need to move forward with the plan now, Eleanor decided. Diana, Victor, send the fake orders. From their position on the hill, Diana and Victor began sending the signals they had prepared. They had found that the Drachnid's gold leaders always used the same code at the beginning of their messages. They copied this code exactly, then added their fake orders. For the next hour, they watched as confusion spread through the alien base. The jammers blocked real orders from the leaders, while the fake orders told workers to use wrong materials and change designs. Some Drachnids stopped working, waiting for clear instructions. Others followed the fake orders, making serious mistakes in the gateway construction. It's working, Victor said excitedly. Look at them. They don't know what to do without proper orders. But then a large Drachnid with red and gold markings appeared. This was a higher leader they hadn't seen before. It began making bright flashes on its skin that all the other Drachnids could see. It's giving direct visual orders, Victor warned. Our jammers can't block that. The Drachnids began to organize again. Some started checking the work that had been done, finding the mistakes. Others formed search parties to look for the humans. We need to leave now, Bennett urged. They'll find us soon. As they gathered to retreat, a group of Drachnid warriors appeared on the path behind them. They were cut off from their escape route. This way, Eleanor pointed to a narrow ravine. We can go through there. They ran through the ravine, the Drachnids close behind them. When they reached a wider area, Bennett stopped. Keep going, he told the others. I'll slow them down. Not alone, Eleanor said firmly. She turned to the rest of the group. Get back to the cave. We'll meet you there. Eleanor, Bennett, and 2 others stayed behind while the rest escaped. They had only a few weapons, but they also had something the Drachnids didn't understand: the ability to make their own decisions. Spread out, Bennett told them. Don't stay in one place. The Drachnids came into the open area in a perfect line, following their leader's orders exactly. They expected the humans to be together, an easy target. Instead, the 4 humans attacked from different places, confusing the Drachnids who didn't know which way to turn. Eleanor used a small device Patel had made. It sent out a sound that hurt the Drachnids' hearing. The aliens stumbled, their perfect line breaking apart. Without clear orders, they didn't know how to respond to this new situation. Now run, Bennett shouted. The 4 humans escaped while the Drachnids were still confused. They took a longer path back to the cave, making sure they weren't followed. When they finally reached safety, the others were waiting anxiously. Did it work? Diana asked. Did we damage the gateway? We did more than that, Eleanor said, smiling despite her exhaustion. We showed them that their way of thinking has a big weakness. They couldn't handle something unexpected without orders. Victor checked his scanner. The gateway construction has stopped. They're checking everything now, finding all the mistakes. That night, as the humans rested in their cave, they felt something they hadn't felt since the Valiant was destroyed. Pride. They might be stranded on an alien world, outnumbered and outgunned, but they had found a way to fight back. And they had done it their way, not by following orders, but by working together, each person making their own choices for the good of all. The next morning, Victor rushed into the main cave area with exciting news. I just picked up a new signal. It's from Earth. Everyone gathered around his communication device. The signal was weak, but clear enough to understand. Earth had received their warning about the Drachnids. They were sending ships to help, but it would take at least 3 more weeks for them to arrive. 3 weeks, Bennett said, shaking his head. The Drachnids will fix the gateway before then. Eleanor looked at the tired faces around her. They had won a small victory, but the aliens still outnumbered them greatly. We need to do more than just slow them down. We need to make them leave. How? Asked Lisa Reyes. We can't fight them directly. Eleanor thought for a moment. What if we could make them think Earth is too dangerous to invade? Victor, what have you learned about how the Drachnids choose their targets? Victor checked his notes. They only attack worlds they believe they can easily control. They avoid places with unpredictable defenses or people who don't follow normal patterns. That's it, Eleanor said, her eyes lighting up. They attacked us because they thought humans would fall apart without leaders. We need to show them they're wrong. The group spent the day making a new plan. This time they would do more than just send fake orders. They would show the Drachnids that humans could be dangerous in ways the aliens couldn't understand. Diana worked with Victor to create a special message they would send to the Drachnid leaders. The message would include videos of humans working together without orders, solving problems in creative ways that the Drachnids couldn't predict. We'll show them our strength, Diana explained. Not our weapons, but our ability to think for ourselves. Meanwhile, Eleanor had another idea. From studying the aliens, she had noticed something about their biology. Their hard shells protect them from physical harm, but they're very sensitive to certain sounds and smells. We can use that. Patel and his engineers worked with Eleanor to build small devices that made high-pitched sounds only the Drachnids could hear. They were uncomfortable but not harmful, just enough to make the aliens nervous and confused. The next day, they put their plan into action. Small teams placed the sound devices around the alien base during the night. In the morning, Bennett led a group that moved quickly around the base, appearing in different places to confuse the Drachnid patrols. The Drachnids tried to follow their usual orders, moving in perfect lines and formations. But the humans never did what the aliens expected. They appeared and disappeared, never staying in one place long enough to be caught. Meanwhile, Victor and Diana sent their special message directly to the Drachnid command ship. It showed videos of humans working together without anyone giving orders, solving problems in ways the Drachnids had never seen. The message also included a warning. Humans don't need leaders to tell them what to do. Each human can think and act on their own. You can never predict what we will do next. As the day went on, the sound devices began to affect the Drachnids. They became confused and irritable, unable to focus on their work. Some tried to find and destroy the devices, but the humans had hidden them too well. By evening, something strange happened. A large group of Drachnids gathered at their ships. They were leaving. The humans watched from the hills as more and more aliens packed up their equipment and returned to their vessels. It's working, Bennett said in amazement. They're actually leaving. The next morning, only a few Drachnid ships remained. The gateway construction had stopped completely. Victor's equipment picked up signals from the Drachnid commander to their home world. They're reporting that Earth is too unpredictable to invade, Victor translated. They say humans are dangerous because they act without proper orders, making them impossible to control. On the third day, the last Drachnid ship left the planet. The humans came out of hiding and walked through the abandoned alien base. The gateway was only half built, no longer a threat to Earth. We did it, Diana said, looking around at the empty buildings. We actually drove them away. Not with weapons or fighting, Eleanor added, but by being human. That night, they had a celebration in their cave home. For the first time, they felt true hope. Earth ships were coming to rescue them, and the Drachnid threat was gone. As everyone celebrated, Bennett came to sit beside Eleanor. You know, when the Valiant was destroyed, and we lost our captain, I thought we were finished. I didn't know how we would survive without leaders telling us what to do. Eleanor smiled. That's the thing about humans. We don't always need someone to give us orders. We can figure things out together. The funny thing is, Bennett continued, you've been our leader all along, not by giving orders but by helping everyone do what they do best. Eleanor shook her head. I'm not a leader. I'm just a doctor who tries to help people. Maybe that's the best kind of leader, Bennett replied. Someone who doesn't need to be in charge, who just helps others succeed. 2 weeks later, they spotted ships entering the planet's atmosphere. They weren't the square black ships of the Drachnids, but the smooth white ships from Earth. Rescue had arrived. As they prepared to leave the planet that had been their home for months, Eleanor took one last look at their cave. They had come so far from those first desperate days after the Valiant was destroyed. The Earth captain was surprised when she met the survivors. How did you manage to drive off an entire alien fleet with just 40 people and no weapons? Eleanor smiled. We showed them something they didn't understand, that humans don't need someone giving orders all the time. We think for ourselves, we solve problems together, and that makes us strong. As their rescue ship lifted off, Eleanor looked out the window at the stars. The Drachnids had made a big mistake when they attacked the Valiant. They thought that by destroying the ship's leaders, they would defeat the humans. Instead, they learned an important lesson about humanity. Sometimes the strongest leaders aren't the ones who give orders. Sometimes they're the ones who help others find their own strength. Like a doctor named Eleanor who never wanted to be in charge but who helped save humanity just by being herself.